call ended with a promotion I'd been chasing for 2 years. I sat in my home office, staring at the blank screen of my laptop, the enthusiasm gradually fading from my voice as I realized I needed to tell Emily. This was the third time Horizon Tech had offered me the position, Director of Product Development at their San Francisco headquarters, but the first time I seriously considered accepting it. "Honey, I'm home!" Emily's voice echoed through our Chicago apartment. I heard her keys clatter against the ceramic bowl we kept on the entryway table, followed by the soft thud of her work bag hitting the hardwood floor. My stomach tightened. The promotion meant relocating to San Francisco. Emily had made it abundantly clear during the previous offers that leaving Chicago was non-negotiable. Her family was here. Her friends were here. Her job at the advertising agency was here. 4 years together, the last two sharing this apartment overlooking Lake Michigan, and I still found myself tiptoeing around certain topics. "In the office," I called out, closing my laptop and taking a deep breath. Emily appeared in the doorway, her blonde hair pulled back in a messy bun, her blue eyes bright with excitement. She was still wearing her work clothes, a pencil skirt and blouse that accentuated her figure perfectly. We'd met at a mutual friend's wedding, where she'd been the maid of honor, and I'd been the socially awkward groomsman who'd spilled champagne on her dress. Somehow that disaster had turned into 4 years of what I thought was perfection. "You'll never believe what happened today," she said, kicking off her heels and walking over to plant a kiss on my cheek. "That campaign I was telling you about, for the luxury watchmaker, they approved my concept. The entire team is celebrating at Lockwood tonight." She paused, finally noticing my expression. "What's wrong? You look like someone died." "Nothing's wrong," I said, forcing a smile. "That's great news, Em. Congratulations." She narrowed her eyes, studying my face. "Mark Donovan, I know that look. What are you not telling me?" I swiveled in my chair to face her directly. "Horizon called again. They're still interested in me heading up product development." Her smile faded instantly. "In San Francisco?" "Yes. And what did you tell them?" I hesitated. "I told them I needed to discuss it with you." Emily sighed, running her fingers through her hair. "We've been through this twice already, Mark. My entire life is here. The agency is about to promote me to creative director. My parents are an hour away. All our friends—" I know, I interrupted. "But this is different. They're offering equity in the company. This could set us up for life, Em. We could buy a house in San Francisco, take vacations whenever we want. Maybe even start that family we've been talking about." She turned away, walking to the window that overlooked the Chicago skyline. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the room, highlighting the tension in her shoulders. "You know I support your career," she said quietly, "but you're asking me to give up everything I've built here." "I've turned them down twice already," I replied, trying to keep the frustration from my voice. "At some point, they're going to stop asking." She turned back to me, her expression softening. "I need time to think about it. Can we talk about this later? I promised the team I'd meet them at Lockwood in an hour." I nodded, swallowing my disappointment. "Sure. Go celebrate your win. We'll talk tomorrow." She smiled, relief washing over her face. "Thank you for understanding." She kissed me again, this time on the lips. "Don't wait up. These things can run late." I watched her leave, an uneasy feeling settling in my stomach. Emily had always been ambitious, driven, passionate about her work. It was one of the things that had attracted me to her. But lately something had changed. She'd become distant, spending more evenings away from home, checking her phone constantly when we were together. I'd brushed it off as work stress, but now as I listened to her get ready in our bedroom, the doubt crept in. I noticed how she spent extra time getting ready, more than usual for a work event. She changed outfits 3 times, settling on a dress I'd never seen before, a dress that hugged her curves in ways that seemed excessive for celebrating with colleagues. The perfume she sprayed wasn't her usual scent either. It was a new one I'd never smelled on her before. "Is that a new dress?" I asked casually from the doorway. She startled slightly, turning to face me with a too bright smile. "This? Yeah, I picked it up last week. Do you like it?" "It's not your usual style for work events. The Lockwood is upscale. I want to make a good impression." She turned back to the mirror, applying another coat of lipstick. Deep red, almost provocative. Not her usual subtle pink. You never mentioned buying a new dress. Her eyes met mine in the mirror, a flash of something, annoyance, guilt, crossing her face before she masked it with another smile. It was a spontaneous purchase. You know how it is when you see something perfect. I did know. What I didn't know was why she was lying about something so trivial, or why her phone kept buzzing with texts that she quickly silenced without letting me see. 2 hours later, I was still in my office, reviewing project specs for my current job, when my phone buzzed with a text from my best friend Alex. Dude, aren't you supposed to be at Lockwood with Emily and her team? Just got here for drinks with clients and don't see you guys. My blood ran cold. I stared at the text for a long moment before responding. What do you mean? Her team is celebrating there tonight. Three dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. I'm literally standing at the bar. The only people from Apex here are Todd and Sarah, having dinner in the corner. No team celebration. I set my phone down carefully as if it might explode. This wasn't the first lie. Last week it had been a girls' night that I later discovered never happened when her friend Megan mentioned being out of town that weekend. The week before that, a late meeting that her coworker casually contradicted at a dinner party. Book club meetings on Thursday evenings that somehow left her smelling like cologne. New dresses and lingerie appearing in her closet. Texts that made her smile secretively before angling her phone away from me. All the signs had been there. I'd just been too trusting, or perhaps too afraid to acknowledge them. I picked up my phone again and texted Alex. Don't mention you saw me. I'll explain later. Then I did something I'd never done before. I opened Emily's laptop. We knew each other's passwords, a gesture of trust early in our relationship. She'd left it on the coffee table, and I carried it back to my office with shaking hands. Her email was open. I scrolled through, finding nothing suspicious until I checked her archived messages. There, buried among newsletters and promotional emails, was a conversation thread with a name I recognized. Joshua Weiss. Emily's ex-boyfriend from college. The guy she'd dated for 3 years before meeting me. The one she'd assured me was ancient history. The most recent email was from 2 days ago. Can't wait for tonight. The usual place at 8. Still can't believe we've managed to keep this going right under his nose. The book club excuse was genius. Jay. I scrolled through the thread, my heart pounding in my ears. Dozens of emails dating back 6 months. Plans for meetups. Inside jokes. References to nights spent together. Then I checked her text messages, finding a thread with book club that was actually a group chat with her 3 closest friends. I scrolled up, reading message after message that confirmed my worst fears. Almost slipped up and mentioned Josh in front of Mark last night. Does he suspect anything? No way, he's completely clueless. Too busy with his work to notice anything. What will you do if he takes that job in San Francisco? I don't know. Josh wants me to stay here, obviously. But I can't just break up with Mark without a reason. He's been good to me. You're literally cheating on him with your ex, Em. I think that's reason enough. It's complicated. I love them both for different reasons. My vision blurred, and I realized I was crying, not from sadness, but from rage. 4 years of building a life together, and she'd thrown it away for what? Her college ex? A cheap thrill? The worst part was the mockery, how she and her friends laughed at my obliviousness. I kept scrolling, each message a new knife in my chest. Josh said he's ready to make things official once you end it with Mark. Easier said than done. Mark pays 60% of our rent, and I'd have to explain to my parents why I left the guy they already think of as their future son-in-law. You can't have both forever, Em. I know. I'll figure it out. Maybe when Mark brings up San Francisco again, I'll use that as my exit. Make him the bad guy for choosing his career over me. The calculated coldness of it stunned me. This wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment or a drunken mistake. This was sustained, deliberate deception. She'd been planning to use my career ambitions against me, to paint me as the villain in our story while she played the victim. I set the laptop down, my hands trembling. The apartment suddenly felt too small, the air too thick. I grabbed my keys and left, driving aimlessly through the Chicago streets until I found myself at the lakefront. I parked and walked to the water's edge, watching the waves crash against the shore as my mind raced. Hours passed as I sat there, replaying every moment of our relationship through this new lens of betrayal. Every late night at work, every weekend trip with the girls, every time she'd pulled away from my touch, claiming exhaustion. I remembered the night 3 months ago when I'd suggested we try for a baby, start the family we'd always talked about. She'd panicked, said she wasn't ready, that she wanted to secure her promotion first. Was that because she was already planning her exit? Or worse, was she afraid the child might not be mine? The thought brought fresh rage surging through me. I took out my phone and did something I'd never imagined doing. I texted her boss, a man I'd met several times at company events. "Richard, this is Mark, Emily's boyfriend. I know it's late, but I wanted to apologize for Emily missing your client meeting last Thursday. She told me about it, and I feel terrible that our personal issues kept her from attending. She'll be back on track now." I knew there had been no client meeting last Thursday. Emily had told me there was. Another lie to cover time spent with Josh. Her boss's response came quickly. "Mark, no apology needed. There was no client meeting scheduled for Thursday. Perhaps Emily confused the dates?" "Maybe so," I replied. "Sorry to bother you this late." I put my phone away, a cold satisfaction spreading through me. Now I had external confirmation of her lies. Not that I needed it after what I'd seen on her laptop. By the time I returned home, it was past midnight. Emily was still out. I sat in the dark living room, waiting. At 1:37 a.m., I heard her key in the lock. She stumbled slightly as she entered, her hair disheveled, lipstick smudged. "Mark, why are you sitting in the dark?" She fumbled for the light switch, blinking in the sudden brightness. "God, you scared me." "How was the celebration?" I asked, my voice unnaturally calm. "Amazing. We went to a few places after Lockwood. Lisa got totally wasted and started dancing on tables." She laughed, kicking off her heels. "You should have come." "Funny thing about that," I said, standing up. "I got a text from Alex tonight. He was at Lockwood for a client meeting. Said there was no team celebration." The color drained from her face. "He must have been mistaken. We were in the private room in the back." "Stop lying, Emily." My voice was steady, despite the rage and hurt churning inside me. "I know about Josh." Her eyes widened, then narrowed. "You went through my things, my emails, my texts. How dare you invade my privacy like that?" "How dare I?" I laughed bitterly. "You've been cheating on me for 6 months, and you're upset about privacy?" "It's not what you think," she said, her voice dropping to a pleading whisper. "Josh and I reconnected as friends. It just evolved." I was confused. I still am. How convenient. And the book club, the late meetings, the girls' nights that never happened? Were you confused about those too? Or were you just lying to my face? She sank onto the couch, tears welling in her eyes. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Well, congratulations on failing spectacularly at that." "What are you going to do?" she asked, looking up at me. "I'm taking the job in San Francisco." Her mouth fell open. "Just like that? You're not even going to try to work through this?" "Work through what exactly? The fact that you've been sleeping with your ex-boyfriend while I've been planning our future? That you've been lying to me daily for months? That your friends have been covering for you? That you were planning to use my career aspirations to make me the villain when you finally decided to leave me for him? Tell me, Emily, what exactly is there to work through?" Her face registered shock at my knowledge of her plans. "You read my private conversations with my friends? How much did you see?" "Enough to know that you never loved me. That I was convenient, a rent check, a status symbol, a placeholder until Josh decided he wanted you back." "That's not true," she cried, tears now streaming down her face. "I do love you. You just love him more," I finished for her. "Or at least you think you do, until he cheats on you too." "Josh wouldn't—" I cut her off with a harsh laugh. "You really think a guy who would help you cheat on your boyfriend of 4 years is trustworthy? Wake up, Emily. You're not special. You're just the latest in what I'm sure is a long line of women he's convinced to betray their partners." "You don't know him," she snapped, anger replacing her tears. "You've never even given him a chance." "Why would I? He's your ex. Was your ex. I trusted you to maintain appropriate boundaries. Clearly that was my mistake. If you leave like this, we're done," she threatened, standing up. "I won't wait for you to come to your senses." I laughed, a hollow sound even to my own ears. We're already done, Emily. You just didn't bother to inform me. So that's it? 4 years together, and you're just walking away? You walked away 6 months ago. You just didn't have the decency to tell me. She grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. Please, Mark, I made a terrible mistake. I'll break it off with Josh. We can work through this. Couples therapy, anything you want. I'll move to San Francisco with you. We can start fresh. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back at her face. There's nothing left to save, Emily. You made sure of that. Now let go of me. No, she cried, tightening her grip. You can't just throw away what we have over one mistake. One mistake? I pulled my arm free. You've been lying to me for months. You've been sleeping with another man for months. You've been mocking me behind my back for months. That's not one mistake. That's a choice you made every single day. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing uncontrollably now. What am I supposed to tell everyone? My parents? Our friends? Tell them the truth or don't. I really don't care anymore. I walked to our bedroom, pulling my suitcase from the closet and beginning to pack my essentials. Emily followed, still pleading, still crying. Where are you going? It's the middle of the night. To a hotel. I'll come back for the rest of my things when you're at work. You can't just leave like this, she shouted, grabbing clothes from my suitcase and throwing them on the floor. We need to talk about this. I caught her wrists as she reached for more of my clothes. There's nothing left to talk about. It's over. I'll tell everyone you abused me, she threatened, her voice cold and hard. I'll ruin your reputation. No one will believe you over me. I stared at her, shocked by this new side of her I'd never seen before. Go ahead, try it. I have all the evidence I need to show exactly who's been abusing whom in this relationship. Her face crumpled. I didn't mean that. I'm desperate, Mark. Please, give me another chance. No, I said simply, releasing her wrists and continuing to pack. You don't get to emotionally blackmail me after what you've done. She watched in silence as I finished packing. Her tears dried up, her face a mask of shock and disbelief. As I zipped the suitcase closed, she spoke again, her voice small. What about all our plans? The house we were going to buy? The family we were going to start? Those plans died the moment you decided to cheat, I replied, lifting the suitcase off the bed. Goodbye, Emily. This isn't you, she said, following me to the door. The Mark I know wouldn't be so cold, so unforgiving. I turned to face her one last time. The Mark you knew trusted you, loved you, would have done anything for you. You killed that man. This is what's left. I walked out, closing the door on her shattered expression. In the elevator down to the lobby, I took off my key to our apartment and dropped it into my pocket. 4 years, gone in a single night. But as the elevator doors opened and I stepped into the quiet lobby, I felt not just pain, but something unexpected. Relief. The weight of suspicion and doubt that had been growing for months had lifted. At least now I knew the truth. The next morning I called Horizon Tech and accepted their offer. I checked out of the hotel and went back to the apartment while Emily was at work. I packed up the rest of my things, leaving behind anything we'd bought together. Before leaving, I wrote a letter and left it on the kitchen counter. Emily, you chose deception over honesty. You chose Josh over me. Now I'm choosing myself. I'll arrange to have the rest of my things moved out by Friday. I've paid my share of rent through the end of the month. After that, the apartment is your problem. Don't contact me again. Mark. I took one last look around the apartment we'd shared, the life we'd built, before walking out and closing the door behind me. As I rode the elevator down for the final time, my phone buzzed with a text from Emily. Please don't do this. I made a mistake. I love you. We can fix this. I didn't respond. Instead, I blocked her number, then methodically went through my social media accounts, removing her and anyone I knew only through her. Clean break. New start. That evening, as I prepared to fly to San Francisco the next day, Alex met me for drinks at a bar far from our usual haunts. Jesus, man, he said after I told him everything. I had no idea it was this bad. I knew something was off when I saw her at Lockwood with that guy, but I never imagined. Neither did I replied, taking a long sip of my whiskey. 4 years, Alex. 4 fucking years. And she throws it away for her college ex. What are you going to do about Josh? Want me to have a word with him? Alex had played linebacker in college and still looked the part. I shook my head. He's not worth it. Besides, he's done me a favor. Better to find out now than after we were married, had kids. Alex raised his glass. To dodging bullets. I clinked my glass against his. And to new beginnings. San Francisco greeted me with fog and a chill that seeped into my bones. My temporary corporate housing was a sterile one-bedroom apartment with generic furniture and views of other high-rises. It was nothing like our Chicago apartment with its character and lake views, but it was a fresh start. Horizon Tech's offices occupied 10 floors of a gleaming skyscraper in the financial district. On my first day, I was introduced to a team of brilliant engineers and designers, all looking to me for direction. I threw myself into the work, staying late every night, coming in early every morning. If my new colleagues noticed the dark circles under my eyes or my tendency to stare blankly out the window during lulls in conversation, they were too polite to mention it. The first few weeks were a blur of meetings, presentations, and sleepless nights. I'd wake at 3 a.m., reaching instinctively for Emily, only to find empty space beside me. The phantom pain of her absence was almost physical, like a limb that had been amputated but still ached. I deleted all her photos from my phone, but memories couldn't be so easily erased. The smell of her perfume seemed to linger in clothes I'd brought from Chicago. Her laugh echoed in my dreams. Even in my waking hours, I'd catch myself thinking of things to tell her when I got home, only to remember there was no her anymore. No home we shared. Despite my efforts to cut all ties, news from Chicago still reached me. Alex called regularly, keeping me updated on mutual friends, carefully avoiding direct mentions of Emily, until one evening about 3 weeks after my move. "She's posting about you," he said abruptly during one of our calls, "making it sound like you abandoned her for your career, playing the victim." "Of course she is," I replied, staring out at the San Francisco skyline from my apartment window. "What did you expect? People are believing her, Mark, even some who know you well. She's very convincing. Let them believe what they want. I know the truth. Maybe you should tell your side before she completely rewrites history." I considered it for a moment, then shook my head, even though Alex couldn't see me. What's the point? Anyone who would believe her version without even asking me for mine isn't someone I need in my life. "Fair enough," Alex conceded. "Just thought you should know." After we hung up, curiosity got the better of me. For the first time since leaving Chicago, I looked at Emily's social media profiles. She'd changed her relationship status to single and posted a series of cryptic quotes about betrayal and abandonment. The comments were filled with supportive messages from friends and family, expressing shock at my alleged callousness. I was about to close the browser when a new post appeared. A photo of Emily and Josh at a rooftop bar in Chicago, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. The caption read, "Sometimes life takes unexpected turns, but leads you back where you belong. 'Cause second chances." The hypocrisy was breathtaking. Barely 3 weeks after begging me to stay, after promising to break things off with Josh, she was publicly flaunting their relationship and still positioning herself as the wounded party. I was composing a scathing comment when my phone rang. My new boss, calling about an urgent issue with the product launch. By the time I resolved the crisis, hours had passed, and my anger had cooled enough for rational thought to prevail. Engaging in a social media war would accomplish nothing except prolonging my connection to a past I was trying to escape. Instead, I did something more subtle but far more damaging. I forwarded the emails between Emily and Josh to her supervisor at the advertising agency. The same supervisor she'd been lying to about late meetings when she was actually with Josh. I included screenshots of our text exchanges where she'd claimed to be working late on specific dates, alongside her supervisor's confirmation that no such work events had occurred. 2 days later, I received an email from Megan, one of Emily's friends who had helped cover for her affair. "Mark, I know you probably hate me right now and I don't blame you. What we did, covering for Emily, was wrong. I told myself it wasn't my place to interfere, but the truth is, I was a coward. Emily's been put on probation at work because of the lies she told about client meetings. They're investigating her expense reports now too, since she apparently claimed reimbursement for client dinners that never happened. Josh is already acting shady, staying out late without her. She's a mess. I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad or to ask you to take her back. I just thought you should know that karma works fast sometimes. I hope you're finding peace in SF. Beklin. I read the email twice, searching for any feeling of satisfaction or vindication. Instead, I felt oddly empty. Emily's suffering didn't heal my pain or undo her betrayal. It was just another sad chapter in a story that should have ended differently. I deleted the email without responding and went back to work. Months passed. Winter turned to spring. I found an apartment in Pacific Heights with a view of the Golden Gate Bridge. I joined a rock climbing gym, made new friends, even went on a few dates, though none progressed beyond dinner. The wound was still too fresh, the trust too broken. Horizon's product launch was scheduled for May, a revolutionary AI platform that could predict consumer behavior with unprecedented accuracy. As the date approached, I worked 18-hour days, falling into bed exhausted only to wake a few hours later with new ideas, new concerns, new items for my to-do list. It was during this frenzy of activity that Jennifer Lewis entered my life. The new head of marketing, hired to ensure our product didn't just launch but dominated the market. She was brilliant, driven, and refreshingly direct. "Your presentation needs work," she told me after our first meeting. "Too much technical jargon, not enough emphasis on real-world applications." "And you could use a course in tact," I replied, annoyed by her criticism of the presentation I'd spent weeks perfecting. She laughed, a genuine sound that caught me off guard. "I didn't take this job to make friends, Donovan. I took it to make history. This product could revolutionize how businesses operate, but only if people understand what it does. Right now, your presentation ensures that only other tech nerds will get it. So what do you suggest? Work with me. I'll translate your tech speak into human language. You'll ensure I don't oversimplify to the point of inaccuracy. Together, we'll make this launch something people talk about for years." I found myself smiling despite my initial irritation. "Fine, but I'm not changing the core message. This isn't just another shiny toy for corporations to play with. It's going to change everything." "Then let's make sure everyone knows it." She held out her hand. "Partners?" I shook it. "Partners." Working with Jennifer was unlike anything I'd experienced before. She challenged me, pushed me to think beyond the technical aspects of the product to its real-world impact. We spent long nights in conference rooms, surrounded by whiteboards covered in diagrams and marketing slogans. We argued, compromised, created something neither of us could have developed alone. What started as a professional partnership gradually evolved into friendship, and then, unexpectedly, into something more. Jennifer had her own scars, a marriage that had ended when she discovered her husband in bed with her sister. She understood betrayal in ways most people couldn't. "The worst part isn't even the sex," she told me one night as we shared a bottle of wine after a particularly grueling day. "It's the lies, the gaslighting, being made to feel crazy for suspecting something that was actually happening." I nodded, remembering all the times Emily had made me feel paranoid for questioning her late nights. And the way it makes you doubt yourself afterward. Like, how did I miss the signs? Was I just willfully blind? Exactly. And then you start doubting everything. Every relationship, every interaction. You wonder if anyone is ever really honest. "So how do you move past it?" I asked, genuinely curious about her answer. She considered the question, swirling the wine in her glass. "I don't think you ever completely do. It changes you. But eventually you learn to trust again, carefully, selectively. You develop better radar for bullshit, and you value honesty above almost everything else." I raised my glass to that. "To bullshit detectors and second chances." "Second chances," she echoed, her eyes meeting mine over the rim of her glass. 2 weeks before the launch, we were the last ones in the office, reviewing the final presentation. "I think we've got it," Jennifer said, leaning back in her chair with a satisfied smile. "This is going to blow everyone away." "It better," I replied, rubbing my tired eyes. "I haven't seen my apartment in daylight for weeks." She laughed, then studied me with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. "You know, for someone who's accomplished so much, you carry yourself like a man who's lost something irreplaceable." I stiffened. "We're not doing this." "Doing what?" "The personal sharing thing. The let's talk about our feelings thing." We're colleagues, not therapists. Wow, she said, raising an eyebrow. Someone really did a number on you, didn't they? I gathered my papers, shoving them into my briefcase. It's late. We should both get some rest. Mark, she said, her voice softer now. Whatever happened, whoever hurt you, don't let them take anything more from you than they already have. I paused, hand on the door. What makes you think someone hurt me? Because I recognize the look. I've seen it in the mirror. She stood, gathering her own things. My husband of 6 years left me for my sister. Found out on our anniversary when I came home early to surprise him. So yeah, I know what betrayal does to a person. I turned to face her, seeing her clearly for the first time. Behind the confident exterior, the sharp mind and sharper tongue, was someone who understood exactly what I'd been through. Her name was Emily, I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. We were together for 4 years. She was cheating on me with her ex for the last 6 months of our relationship. Jennifer nodded, no pity in her expression, just recognition. And now you're here, throwing yourself into work because it's the one thing that can't betray you. Something like that. How's that working out for you? I shrugged. I'm about to launch a product that could change the industry. The company's already talking about fast-tracking me to VP. So pretty well, I'd say. And when you go home to your empty apartment, when you wake up in the middle of the night with no one to talk to, how's it working out then? I looked away. I'm dealing with it. Sure you are. She shouldered her bag and walked to the door. For what it's worth, I think you're doing better than you realize. You're building something new. That takes courage. What about you? Are you building something new? She smiled, a genuine expression that transformed her face. I'm trying. Some days are better than others. She hesitated, then added, There's a new wine bar on Valencia Street. I've been wanting to check it out. Maybe after the launch, if we're not too exhausted from world domination, you might want to join me? For the first time in months, I felt a flicker of something other than anger or numbness. I might, I said, if we're not too exhausted. Good night, Mark. Good night, Jennifer. The product launch was a triumph. Industry analysts hailed it as revolutionary. Our stock price soared. I was quoted in tech publications, invited to speak at conferences, approached by competitors with job offers. Jennifer and I were celebrated as the dream team who had bridged the gap between complex technology and mainstream understanding. The night after the launch party, true to my word, I met her at the wine bar on Valencia Street. We talked for hours, not about work or our pasts, but about books we'd read, places we'd traveled, dreams we still had. It was the most normal I'd felt in nearly a year. As spring turned to summer, Jennifer and I fell into a comfortable routine. Wine bars turned into dinners, dinners into weekend hikes in Marin County, hikes into overnight trips to Napa Valley. She was nothing like Emily, more assertive, more independent, less concerned with appearances and social status. But she was also warmer in ways that surprised me, more willing to be vulnerable when she trusted someone. I was cautious, still healing, but for the first time since leaving Chicago, I could imagine a future that wasn't defined by what I'd lost. Then on a foggy Tuesday morning in July, Emily appeared at the entrance to Horizon Tech's building. I was returning from a coffee run when I saw her, standing nervously by the security desk, wearing a sundress I didn't recognize, and an anxious expression I knew all too well. She spotted me at the same moment, her eyes widening. "Mark," she said, taking a step toward me. "I was afraid I wouldn't find you." I stood frozen, coffee cooling in my hand, as employees brushed past us in the busy lobby. "What are you doing here, Emily?" "I needed to see you." Her voice trembled slightly. "Can we talk? Please? Just for a few minutes." Every instinct told me to walk away, to tell her to go back to Chicago, back to Josh, back to the life she'd chosen. But curiosity, or perhaps some masochistic need for closure, made me nod toward a small seating area in the corner of the lobby. 5 minutes, I said, leading her to the chairs. She sat across from me, hands twisting in her lap. She looked thinner than I remembered, dark circles under her eyes, her normally perfect hair limp and dull. "You look good," she said. "Really good. San Francisco agrees with you." "Emily, why are you here?" She took a deep breath. "Josh left me 3 months ago. He got back together with the girlfriend he had before me. The one he was with after we broke up in college. Apparently they'd been talking the whole time he and I were, well, you know. I felt a bitter laugh bubble up. So he cheated on you, just like you cheated on me. Poetic justice, I guess. She flinched. I deserved that. I deserved all of it. I lost my job too, after you sent those emails to my boss. You lost your job because you lied about client meetings to cover up your affair. I corrected her. Your actions, your consequences. I know, she whispered. Everything fell apart after you left. My friends stopped talking to me when they found out what I'd done. My parents are barely speaking to me. They loved you, you know. Dad still asks about you. Again, Emily, why are you here? She reached across the table, trying to take my hand. I pulled away. Because I made the biggest mistake of my life. Because I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me for what? A fantasy? A connection to my past that wasn't even real? Josh never loved me. Not like you did. Past tense is right, I said coldly. I'm not asking you to love me again, she said quickly. I know I destroyed that, but I'm asking for a chance to rebuild something. Friendship, maybe. A connection. I miss you, Mark. I miss talking to you, laughing with you. I miss your kindness, your steadiness. You miss the stability I provided while you were out having fun with Josh. She shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. It wasn't like that. I was confused, stupid, selfish. I know that now. These past few months have been hell. I've lost everything that mattered. And now you want me to help you pick up the pieces? To make you feel better about what you did? No. I want a chance to apologize properly, to show you I've changed, to be in your life again, in whatever way you'll allow. I studied her face, searching for the woman I'd once planned to marry. She was still beautiful, still capable of making my heart race. But the trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. I'm seeing someone, I said quietly. Her face crumpled. Oh, her name is Jennifer. She's the head of marketing here. We've been together for a few months. Emily nodded, wiping tears from her cheeks. Is it serious? It's healthy, I replied. It's honest. That's more important than serious right now. You're right, she whispered. Of course you're right. She stood up, gathering her purse. I should go. This was a mistake. I just thought, I don't know what I thought. I remained seated, looking up at her. Why did you do it, Emily? Really? Was I not enough? Was there something missing? She shook her head, fresh tears falling. No, you were everything. Perfect, almost. I think that scared me. I think I was waiting for you to disappoint me, to hurt me. And when you didn't, I created a situation where you would. Josh was familiar, safe in a weird way, because I already knew how he could hurt me. With you, it was uncharted territory. So you hurt me first. Yes, she admitted, and I've regretted it every day since. She hesitated, then added, I'm in therapy now, trying to understand why I sabotaged the good things in my life. Too late for us, I know, but maybe someday I'll be worthy of someone like you again. I finally stood, feeling a strange sense of calm. I hope you find what you're looking for, Emily. I really do. But it's not here. It's not with me. I know, she said, her voice breaking. I know that now. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. This is for you. You don't have to read it, but I needed to give it to you. I took the envelope, not knowing if I would ever open it. Goodbye, Emily. She looked at me one last time, memorizing my face perhaps, before turning and walking out of the building and out of my life for the second time. I watched her go, waiting for the pain to hit, for the anger to resurface. Instead, I felt only relief. The spell was broken. The what-ifs and might-have-beens that had haunted me for months had vanished, replaced by the certainty that I had made the right choice. That evening, I told Jennifer about Emily's visit as we cooked dinner in my apartment. Are you okay? She asked, concern evident in her voice. That must have been shocking. Surprisingly, I am, I replied, realizing it was true. Seeing her clarified things for me. I've been holding on to anger, using it as a shield. But today, looking at her, all I felt was pity and relief that I'm not stuck in that cycle anymore. Jennifer set down the knife she'd been using to chop vegetables and came to wrap her arms around me. For what it's worth, I'm glad you're here, in San Francisco, in this kitchen. with me. I kissed the top of her head, breathing in the scent of her shampoo. So am I. Later that night, after Jennifer had gone home, I opened the envelope Emily had given me. Inside was a letter, tear-stained and crumpled as if it had been written and rewritten many times. Dear Mark, I don't expect your forgiveness. I don't deserve it, but I need you to know how sorry I am for what I did to you, to us. There's no excuse, no justification that makes it okay. I betrayed your trust in the worst possible way, and I've paid for it every day since. The truth is, I was afraid of how much I loved you, afraid of depending on someone so completely. Josh was a distraction, a way to sabotage what we had before it became too important to lose. It makes no sense, I know. I'm trying to understand it myself. You made the right choice leaving. You deserve better than what I gave you. You deserved honesty, faithfulness, respect. All the things I failed to provide. I hope you found happiness in San Francisco. I hope you found someone who appreciates your kindness, your intelligence, your quiet strength. I hope she makes you laugh the way I used to. I hope she never makes you cry the way I did. Most of all, I hope you know that you changed me for the better, even if I realized it too late. I am trying to be the person you always believed I could be. I will always love you. I will always regret losing you. Emily. I folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope, then tucked it in a drawer, a keepsake from a chapter of my life that was now firmly closed. 3 weeks later, I got a call from Alex. His voice was grave. Mark, I don't know how to tell you this, but it's about Emily. My heart skipped a beat. What about her? She's in the hospital. Bad car accident. She was driving home from a bar last night, way over the limit, wrapped her car around a tree. I sat down heavily on my couch. How bad is it? Critical. Internal bleeding, broken ribs, punctured lung. They're not sure if she's going to make it. The news hit me with unexpected force. Despite everything, the thought of Emily dying was unbearable. Which hospital? Northwestern Memorial. But Mark, you're in San Francisco. You can't. I know, I cut him off. Just keep me updated, okay? Of course. I hung up and sat there staring at nothing, my mind racing. Jennifer found me like that when she came over an hour later for our planned dinner. Mark, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. I told her about Emily's accident, expecting jealousy, or at least discomfort. Instead, she sat beside me and took my hand. Do you want to go to Chicago? I can help you book a flight. I shook my head. No, there's nothing I could do there that would help her, and it would just complicate things. Are you sure? It's okay if you need to go. I understand that you shared a life with her, regardless of how it ended. I squeezed her hand, grateful for her understanding. I'm sure, but thank you. For the next 3 days, I existed in a strange limbo, checking my phone constantly for updates from Alex. Emily survived the initial surgery but remained in critical condition. Her parents were at her bedside. Josh was nowhere to be found. On the 4th day, Alex called with better news. She's stabilized. Doctors are cautiously optimistic. She's not out of the woods yet, but it's looking better. I felt a weight lift from my chest. Good. That's good. There's something else, Alex said, hesitating. She's been asking for you. When she's conscious, your name is the first thing she says. I closed my eyes, feeling the pull of the past. I can't, Alex. I just can't. I know. I told her parents you're in San Francisco, that it's not possible. Just thought you should know. After we hung up, I went to the kitchen and poured myself a glass of whiskey, then carried it out to my balcony. The sun was setting over the Golden Gate Bridge, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. I thought about Emily, lying in a hospital bed in Chicago, asking for me. I thought about Jennifer, who had offered to help me book a flight to see my ex-girlfriend. I thought about the strange turns life takes, how one decision can alter everything that follows. 2 more weeks passed. Emily was moved out of intensive care, on the road to a long but likely full recovery. Her parents sent me a message through Alex, thanking me for my concern, telling me Emily was doing better physically, but struggling emotionally. I didn't respond. What could I say? That I was glad she hadn't died but didn't want to reopen that chapter of my life? That seemed unnecessarily cruel. Then a month after the accident, I received a text from a number I didn't recognize. Mark, it's Megan. Emily asked me to tell you she's being released from the hospital tomorrow. She's lost her apartment, couldn't pay rent while hospitalized, moving in with her parents temporarily. She also wanted you to know she's been sober since the accident. 60 days today. I thought you'd want to know. I stared at the text, unsure how to respond or if I should respond at all. Emily's life was no longer my concern. Her sobriety, her housing situation, her recovery, these were her problems, not mine. And yet, thanks for letting me know, I finally replied. I'm glad she's recovering. Wish her well. I set my phone down and went back to the report I'd been working on. An hour later, it buzzed again with another text from Megan. There's something else you should know. Emily's decided to move away from Chicago, starting over somewhere new. She said to tell you she's following your example. Choosing herself for once. Just thought you should know. This time I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. 6 months later, Jennifer and I were planning a weekend trip to Napa when Alex called. Hey man, long time no talk. How's San Francisco treating you? We caught up briefly before he got to the real reason for his call. I don't know if you want to hear this, but there's been some news about Emily. I hesitated, then decided I was ready to hear it, whatever it was. Go ahead. She died, Mark, last night. Drug overdose. The world seemed to stop for a moment. What? But she was in recovery, sober for months. Apparently not. Her mom found her in her old bedroom. Empty pill bottle, empty vodka bottle. There was a note. What did it say? I asked, my voice barely audible. I don't know all the details. Just that she apologized to her parents, to you, to everyone she'd hurt. Said she couldn't live with what she'd done, who she'd become. I sat down heavily on my couch, the same spot where I'd received the news of her accident. When's the funeral? Thursday. Look, no one expects you to fly back for it. Everyone understands. I'll be there, I interrupted. Text me the details. After we hung up, I sat in silence, trying to process the news. Emily was gone. Really gone. Not just out of my life, but out of the world entirely. The woman I'd once loved, once planned to marry, had been so consumed by her demons that she'd taken her own life. Jennifer found me like that when she arrived an hour later. One look at my face told her something was terribly wrong. What happened? She asked, sitting beside me and taking my hand. I told her about Emily's death, the words feeling strange and hollow as they left my mouth. Jennifer listened without interrupting, her hand squeezing mine. I need to go to the funeral, I said when I'd finished. I know it's weird considering everything, but it's not weird, she assured me. It's human. Of course you should go. Will you come with me? I asked, surprising myself with the question. She looked equally surprised. Are you sure? Won't that be complicated? Probably, but I want you there. Need you there, actually. She nodded, squeezing my hand again. Then I'll be there. The funeral was held in a small church in the Chicago suburbs. Emily's parents had requested a private service, family and close friends only. I wasn't sure if I still qualified as either, but they'd sent word through Alex that they wanted me there. Jennifer and I sat near the back, trying to be inconspicuous. The church was filled with flowers and photographs of Emily, as a child, as a teenager, as the vibrant young woman I'd known. Her mother saw me as she walked in and came over, pulling me into a tight hug. Thank you for coming, she whispered. It would have meant everything to her. I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. The service was brief but moving. Emily's father spoke about her talent, her laugh, her love of life. Her oldest friend read a poem. No one mentioned the circumstances of her death, the demons she'd battled, the mistakes she'd made. In death, as is often the case, the complexities of her life were smoothed away, leaving only the best parts to be remembered. Afterward at the cemetery, I hung back as the family gathered around the grave. Jennifer stood beside me, her hand in mine, a silent support. Are you okay? She asked as we watched the casket being lowered into the ground. No, I admitted, but I will be. As the mourners began to disperse, Emily's father approached us, his face drawn with grief but his eyes clear. Mark, he said, shaking my hand, and you must be Jennifer. Thank you both for coming. I'm so sorry for your loss, Mr. Mitchell, I said. He nodded, then reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. Emily left this for you, asked us to give it to you if this day ever came. I took the envelope, feeling its weight in my hand. Thank you. She loved you, you know, he said quietly. Even at the end. Maybe especially at the end. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Be happy, Mark, he said, clasping my shoulder. That's all any of us can do. Find happiness where we can, while we can. He walked away back to his wife and the small group of family members waiting by the cars. Jennifer and I returned to our hotel in silence. The envelope from Emily's father sat on the nightstand, unopened. I wasn't ready yet. Do you want some time alone? Jennifer asked as we entered our room. I shook my head. No, but I need to read this. I picked up the envelope. I'll be right here, she said, sitting on the edge of the bed. I opened the envelope and unfolded the letter inside. Dear Mark, if you're reading this, then I've lost my battle. I'm sorry, not just for what I did to you, but for taking the coward's way out. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I destroyed it. I've spent every day since trying to understand why. The best I can come up with is that I was afraid of happiness, of stability, of being truly known and still loved. So I sabotaged it, like I've sabotaged everything good in my life. I want you to know that I don't blame you for any of this. You did the right thing leaving. You gave me exactly what I deserved. If anything, you showed me more mercy than I showed you. Please don't feel guilty. This isn't your fault. It's mine. All mine. I hope you found happiness. I hope you found someone who deserves you, who treats you with the love and respect I failed to give. I hope you have the life we once planned, the house, the family, the future full of possibility. Most of all, I hope you can forgive me someday. Not for my sake. It's too late for that. But for yours. Forgiveness is freedom, and you deserve to be free. I will always love you. I will always be sorry. Goodbye, Mark. Emily. I folded the letter and put it back in the envelope, tears streaming down my face. Jennifer came to sit beside me, wrapping her arms around me as I cried for the woman I'd once loved, for the future we'd never have, for the tragedy of a life ended too soon. Later that night, as we lay in bed, Jennifer asked, "What are you thinking?" "That life is fragile," I replied. "That happiness is precious, that we have to grab onto it with both hands when we find it." She propped herself up on one elbow, looking down at me in the dim light. "And have you found happiness?" I reached up to touch her face, tracing the curve of her cheek. "Yes, with you." "Even with all this?" she asked, gesturing vaguely toward everything we'd been through. "Because of all this," I corrected her. "It's made me appreciate what we have even more." She leaned down to kiss me, a gentle press of lips that deepened into something more urgent, more alive. In the midst of death, we affirmed life, finding solace in each other's arms. The next morning, before our flight back to San Francisco, I visited Emily's grave one last time. Jennifer waited in the car, giving me space for this final goodbye. The cemetery was empty, the morning mist clinging to the gravestones. Emily's grave was still covered with fresh flowers from the funeral. I stood there for a long moment, remembering the good times before the betrayal, the laughter, the love, the dreams we'd shared. "I forgive you," I said quietly to the cold stone. "I hope you found peace." I placed a single white rose on her grave, then turned and walked away, back to the car, back to Jennifer, back to the life we were building together. As we drove to the airport, I gazed out at the Chicago skyline, the city where I'd once planned to spend my life. It was beautiful, familiar, but no longer home. Home was now San Francisco. Home was now Jennifer. Home was now the future we would create together, shaped by, but not defined by our past. "Ready?" Jennifer asked as we approached the terminal. I took her hand, squeezing it gently. "Ready." We walked into the airport together, leaving Chicago and its ghost behind. The plane that would take us back to San Francisco was waiting, and beyond it, a life full of possibility, a life I had chosen, a life worth living.